Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain. It's a plane. It's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, it's Walter from iWalter. Yeah, this had taken me a little longer to get started tonight than I wanted it to, but I am on now. I usually do it when I can, Saturday nights, even Saturday mornings, but I'm actually getting a late start. You know what? I had one years ago, I think. I had a windscreen on my mic, and I had taken it off. It was just a real pain in the butt, but I should probably put it back. I don't know, because I was breathed too heavily. Yeah, today I went out. I got my hair fixed. I've been cutting my hair for the last couple months. I do it, my very own way, and that's generally not the best because it was starting to look like I cut my hair like a bowl on my head. Today is March 1st still. It will be for the next 3 hours by the time this goes up. And that anybody would be remotely interested in listening to this, it'll probably be March 2nd. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually calling this episode, it's going to be called, oh God, where did I put it? So I can look at it again. Because that's the first thing I am, acting your shoe size. Because that seems like a big issue nowadays. I mean, it's something I probably came across a million times, but it looks like anymore nobody acts their age, they act their shoe size. And I mean, that would mean the oldest or the biggest, the person who acts the most mature would be like age 12 or 14, because I think that's like the largest size that any normal human being would have. I mean, there's people with bigger shoe sizes than that, and that's not saying much. Yeah, because I even said to, I think both friends or one friend, it's like he was talking about it. Actually, it's the one friend from Wilkes-Barre. He had his brother visit this weekend, and they did, what do you call it, abandoned houses. His brother likes to check out abandoned houses and take pictures and stuff. I don't know. Everybody has their own kind of unique hobby. That one is a little bit different. But it's my friend Toddy, he works at a place, and he said there's this guy who's transitioned into a woman, and I said, I don't really care if a guy thinks he's a woman. And before I actually did this episode tonight, I was watching his movie. It was actually God, who was it? You know what? I always do this. I thought I learned my lesson. But I can't remember the guy's name who makes all these really bad, he's famous for making low-budget films. I'm not going to say they're bad. Well, they are bad, too, but really low-budget films. Now, I made sure to turn my volume down, but that doesn't always necessarily mean it's not going to come back. That I missed some segment of how to turn the volume down. So I'm trying to look at what I watched last. But it was like one of these end-of-the-world movies, black and white. But this particular guy, he's made a lot of really, like, low-budget films. One was Humanoids from the Deep, which I really liked. But it was not that. It was some other movie he made. And it was like, you know what? Actually, this is kind of interesting for the fact it did kind of remind me. Let me move my mic up just a tad bit and see if it makes it better. Okay, yeah, that's better. I can hear myself better now, too. that, I wanted to find out the date of this movie, actually, because when I was listening to it, or watching it, I'm listening to myself and I'm getting myself confused. It kind of reminded me of Night of the Living Dead almost. Like, okay, everybody follows this ingredient, this key factor in their film work where everybody is isolated in a house and they're being, surrounded by some type of foreign matter or foreign creature or whatever you want to say. And this movie, like, I'm wondering if this was, like, actually something that maybe, growing up, depending on what year this movie was made. This is why I'm trying to look for it right now. And why I'm stalling for time, because it cleared itself after I watched it. That, maybe it was another, fear of radiation and things like that. And I'm going to have to look for the director's name, because I want to say Cronenberg, which is one, but it isn't him. It might even be. Sorry about that. Human Woods from the Deep, because it was the same guy. Yeah, you know what? It's bugging me now. This is how I waste so much time on my. Wow, it actually has Humanoids from the Deep, but it actually has not the one who had taken over the movie, but the actual original director, who was Barbara Peters. She actually, I thought at one point, removed her name, and it was made from someone else. Well, this is not helping. Anyway, yeah, the premise of the film is like was a end of the world type movie. Radiation affected and turned human beings into like some other type of species, and I'm trying to think now. I just watched it. Now, why isn't it not coming up? Should be like recently watched. So, but yeah, it the whole kind of like the premise did, like I said, it reminded me a little bit like, hey, I wonder if this is why it's sticking in my mind still. It kind of reminded me like maybe this like influenced, George Romero when he made Night of the Living Dead. And now I can't find the name of this movie. So, you know what, to kind of make time while I'm like looking for this, I did actually go out today. I hate going out anymore, and going back, this is one reason too why I'm calling this act your age and basically not your shoe size, because that's the problem I have a lot of times with people. They act very immature anymore. Now, well, Walter, you act very immature, not in the way that I'm seeing others do it. I'm not trying to make up excuses, because that's what it ends up being. It's like no matter what I say, it comes back to it has to be me focusing on other people and not myself. And it's like, trust me, I focus way too much on myself. But it just gets to the point that I just get tired of it. I'm going to have to, I apologize for this. I'm going to waste at least 20 minutes on this. And I'm not even joking. I'm trying to like kill two birds with one stone. And I know I appreciate the people who do listen to me and ask me about like, hey, when you're doing your next podcast. There's some, gentlemen at work who ask me, hey, when are you going to do another podcast? And I really do appreciate that, because gives me some kind of like motivation, some type of thing that I better be, I actually do have a listener or two, and just that much is enough to, keep me going. I apologize. Oh, Roger Corman. It was Roger Corman who I was looking for. But it was funny because I seen this movie I watched tonight from Roger Corman. Well, it had Roger Corman's name on there, and it was like, wow, here's another one of his bad movies. But this one, I was more interested in what year it came out. I would stop this and I kind of restart it. Okay, here it is. Day the World Ended, which was 1955. And I believe, so it was about 10 years before Night of the Living Dead, I guess. But yeah, it was Day the World Ended. Yeah, I was just kind of interested in how, this film, it stuck in my mind. I watched this before him because I've been actually watching a different series. I want to see when Night of the Living Dead came out. Uh, 1968. So yeah, it's about like 13 years different. So it could have been like kind of an influence on, I would think, George Romero, because people, it seems like they take something from somebody else and they kind of reimagine the idea. And I believe that's what he did. Now, Corman's known for making really bad, low-budget films, though, unfortunately. But, yeah, obviously, if it's true and Corman was influenced by this particular film, that would be kind of impressive. But, yeah, anyway, since I'm on this topic, I always just kind of go wherever my thoughts go, is where my program goes. And I'm going to stick with, and there's a reason for this. And I did digress. I did go off subject real quick tonight. Actually 12 minutes in. But, yeah, Masters of Horror, by the way. You can pick up both seasons for $7 per season, and it's worth it because I've been watching the episodes. I was going to actually watch one more episode. I'm actually only on... I think I left off at episode 4 called Jennifer, and that was an episode that was directed by Dario Argento. It was actually really impressive. Very gruesome, but it was very impressive. But yeah, this Master of Horrors really got my attention, and I picked up, like, if you buy these seasons, there's only 13 episodes of seasons. If you buy these seasons on, let me check season 2 and make sure I'm correct. Yeah, both seasons, each season had 13 episodes. It's ironic because, in my opinion, maybe it's not, because it's a horror-themed type thing. It is horror. But it was made for TV. It was made for cable. By the way, that episode called Jennifer was so gruesome, they said, when it was first, put together and ready for stars, that it did not pass the television ratings, even on a cable network that you pay money for, that everything, like, there's a no holds bar and what's allowed to be seen. Apparently it was so gruesome on this one particular episode called Jennifer that the TV, the people who make the TV ratings, like, okay, this is good. I mean, we allow more if people are paying for a subscription to like an HBO, a Cinemax, or something like that. I used to like it when it was called Skinemax. But yeah, even on Stars, they said, you know what? Yeah, this is way too much. Yeah, you need to do some major editing on this episode, and they did. So I actually dug it up, this episode on Amazon, and I was able to find it. You could get it for like used for like $1 or something, but then you paid $4 shipping. You could buy it for like $7 for the episode, because the stuff that was deleted and inappropriate for TV was actually put in a documentary on the DVD that was released on this particular episode, because they did release the individual episodes. It's like, well, I'm not going to buy 13 episodes because it would cost a lot of money. If you buy the whole season on disc, it's about $70 per season. I got both seasons for $14. So, yeah, that's like a no-brainer. And it was called Masters of Horror for anyone who is actually interested in checking it out. If you have Prime, Amazon Prime, it's perfect because I don't think you need Prime. I mean, I don't know why you would not have Prime at this point because it does pay for itself. But either way, there's a couple movies I just order on Amazon on their streaming service just to have them that I own them, or at least I own a copy of them legally, and I watch them. And the Master of Horrors actually put me behind on a couple other shows I was at this point that I started watching and never finished. Anyway, so there was that. I got that out of the way. That's one of my things. But yeah, one thing that came to mind is like going back to where, you know, my friend Todd was talking about. Yeah, there's this guy that comes in and he obviously is transitioning. I was going to tell Todd, you know, it'd be kind of funny. We should do a parody, you know, a spoof on this guy, like, because this one issue came really big where this guy, he obviously looks like a man, and he claims he's getting a sex change operation. The guy's like a criminal of some sort, not the one that comes in Todd's store, and he was a quote unquote transgender or transitioning, and he's in like this GameStop, and the guy calls him sir, and the guy, like the transgender guy or whatever you call him, because he looked like a guy still to me. He just looked like a guy who let his hair grow out. Started yelling at the store clerk at GameStop. This happened a while ago, and the guy kept on screaming, "It's madam! It's not sir! It's madam!" So it became like a joke online for quite a while, and it just makes me think, like, what I started to talk about, and then I just got really easily distracted. You know, I easily distracted myself. Is like, I'm so sick and tired of, you know, all this nonsense going on, of being victimized and stuff. And by the way, one thing that stuck out in my mind watching this Roger Corman film, one thing he kind of drilled into your head, he drilled a little bit of religion too, but he also drilled into your head that, you know, it's a campy horror movie where end of the world, and a lot of the people got turned into these really goofy looking monsters, and only a handful of people survived, you know, on the planet. But he said, yeah, we need to, you know, this, it was like, you know, a group of people who find themselves at this one house, and it was this guy who had his daughter, and he told his daughter, you need to find a mate, and you need to procreate. You need to have children. He didn't say procreate. So we can restart the population of the planet, because everybody was pretty much almost dead. So my thing is, okay, and I thought about this in the back of my head. It was like, and they actually incorporated, you can't do this anymore. They actually incorporated the Bible into this episode. You can't do that anymore unless it's a Quran or some other religion. But heaven forbid you talk about Christianity in a film. You can't do that any longer. It's prohibited, it seems like. So anyway, but yeah, the whole thing is, okay, well, if guys think they're women and they're getting transitioned, they're obviously not going to have children any longer. So unless you have one with a woman and you say you're a lesbian, but if you get your penis removed and change to a vagina, that's not going to work. So the whole thing is just total nonsense. It's total nonsense. And I you know what? I don't have anything against people like that. It's just if everybody in the direction that the news and the media makes it look like, that every man wants to become a woman and every woman wants to become a man, that's going to be the genesis of our race. There's not going to be anybody that's going to be able to reproduce. And once people realize that there is not a plethora of different sexual origins and stuff like that, which is a bunch of nonsense, when people start to grow up and realize this stuff, and that by changing your sex is not going to help the human race continue. Maybe it should not at this point, because that's what I got out of this Corman movie, this Roger Corman movie. So that was like number one. My biggest pet peeve, I told my friend Todd, is if this guy wants to get a sex change operation, hey, knock your socks off. The thing I'm getting tired of is that in some indirect way, I'm pretty sure that our taxes in some indirect way are probably paying for these operations. Because like these guys who go to prison, because I've read these articles, and then they say, oh, you know what? I want to transition to a woman so they can go to a women's facility, for number one. And two, that our taxpayer money has to go into paying that, because they, even though they lose all their rights because you're in prison, they're still allowed to get a sex change operation. And guess who pays for it? We do. So, and I'm sure it's the same thing. Oh, I just cut myself. Wow. With these idiots like who, you know, feel like they were born the wrong sex and not in prison, but that, you know, feel like, hey, you know what? I feel like I want to be a woman now. Well, that's great. Well, where are you going to get the money? Well, the government's going to pay for it. You know, the state's going to pay for it. The government's going to pay for it somehow. Well, that's wonderful. So my money now is going, you know, in a percentage of it is going to pay for your surgery. And what do a lot of these people get done? Men who want to become women, women who want to become men. The men get humongous breast implants. They get what do you call it? Pieces of their the ribs removed. They get butt implants. Even women who just feel like they weren't born with the right butt. But where do they get all this money from? It's coming from somewhere. Well, you're not paying it through your government taxes. Okay, well, let's take this one step further. If it's not coming from their taxes, our taxes, it is coming from somewhere, because they're not forking out a couple $100,000, which it ends up being when you watch these shows. Like my mother watches Botched. Where do they get the money from? They use a line of credit. Well, okay, when that credit's not paid, who is in the end going to pay for it? Going back to yourself. You're going to be paying for this crap. So once these people get jobs and start paying for this nonsense out of their own pocket and not being codependent on someone else to pick up their bill for them, I don't have a problem with it. So that's number one. I was sending, I lost the story, but there was a picture where this woman's got tattoos, and that's another pet peeve of mine. She's got tattoos all over her body. So they got this picture, and I sent it to a friend. I only send the picture. I should have sent the story attached to it. I thought I did, but I can't find it. Anyway, this picture is showing the tattoo artist is putting a tattoo, like, basically between her butt cheeks on her vagina. And I'm not joking. It's actually showing this. So, this is another thing that's just ridiculous. I mean, this is like way over the top. To me, it's very immature. People just doing whatever they want to do and getting away with it. It's like, this is why, again, I am so I'm so annoyed by these people who just continue to do whatever they want to do, and there's nothing stopping them. Actually, it was funny, and I mean, my issue is also I have issues at my job with people that I work with, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, the people that I work with are great, but then we get a lot of people that aren't quite, up to par as being, getting their citizenship. Like, because there's some people we work with, they came from another country, they've been only here for a short period of time, and they don't mention about being here, probably on a work visa. But I've had this at my other job. I had a woman I work with. She was on a work visa. She had plenty of time. She could have registered as a legal citizen. She says, I just don't want to bother to do so. I like that opportunity to go back to my other country if I want to. It's like, well, that's kind of robbing the system. And you know what? Back then it annoyed me, but now it's like sevenfold. It is sevenfold with this nonsense. And that's another thing. It's just, to me, it's like Start acting your age and not your shoe size. I mean, come on, start growing up and taking a lot more responsibility. I mean, across the board, though, across the board. So that is my biggest pet peeve. Yeah, so I actually wanted to talk about Linus, something he posted, but it's not going to fit in what I'm talking about now. So I'm going to try to dig through my stories. And another thing that's really big right now is this whole coronavirus thing. So my friend Todd sent me some story. I believe it was from him. It could have been on Facebook too, where it's from, I don't know which state or area. Oh, it's from, it looks like Kansas. But it says, please spread the word. Sheriff office will test your meth for coronavirus. I'm not even joking. This is a story. Like I said, it looks like it came out of Texas. Or Kansas, not Texas. Kansas. And it says that the sheriff, yeah, it is. It's Obin, well, it's in Kansas, and it said that the sheriff is willing to test your, this is ridiculous, though. Test your meth for the coronavirus. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, grow up. I mean, people, this whole drug addiction thing, this whole, poor me, poor me another, as my one friend from my old job would say all the time. It's just way over the fucking top. Way over the fucking top. When is it going to stop? When are people going to act like adults and not children? I don't think it's ever going to happen, but, whatever. Well, actually, I don't mean just whatever. I would like to see something happen, but it's never going to. I mean, it's just like the deterioration where I live has just gotten, like, really bad. And part of my pet peeve are these people, I hate to say this, but it really annoys me. There's been more and more people now who just basically, they want more privacy on the road, so they completely tint their windows completely black, so you can't look in at all. Now, if I was a police officer, I would start slowly pulling one by one these people over and fining them to the point that they can't drive any longer. And then if they get pulled over after not having a license, throw their ass in jail. That's my thing. Because it's just a bunch of nonsense. Again, going back, don't act your shoe size, act your age. There's no need for that. I've seen a guy today, he had dark tint on his windows, but you could still see 70% through his windows. 70%. That is fine. If you can see through the window at 70%, you're fine, and that's still really dark. But what people are doing is they're putting tint on that only 10% or 20% of the light gets through. That is illegal. That is illegal to drive that way. And then they drive aggressively fast around here anymore. And I see one article after another article saying that people are fleeing New York and New Jersey because of the cost of living, and they are moving to places like Florida, their neighboring states, which Florida is not, obviously, but their neighboring state of Pennsylvania, and they're coming in large amounts, not just a few, but large amounts. And with that is coming a lot more problems in our state. I mean, it's just like it's bad enough with the illegal immigrants flooding our country. Not as much as it used to be, but the ones that are here are still creating a lot of problems. But it's even worse with the people who are who believe in voting Democrat every time and allowing the their taxes to go way up, and then when they get had enough of it, they move out of their state and they move to another state just to start the whole same nonsense all over again. Once again, act your age and not your shoe size, folks. This is what's really irritating me. I mentioned this before, but there's another article posted from about a couple days ago but it's basically stating about ICE ignores in California the laws and arrest illegal aliens at the courthouse door, which, hey, you know what? That's a step in the right direction. There's a law that says you cannot arrest an illegal immigrant on, court grounds, but, my friend Todd explained it to me. Yeah, I mean, there's the state law, which the state specifies you can't arrest somebody, but there is the federal law, which is completely different, and you are allowed to do what California had actually had done. I saw this story the other day. I saw this a while back, too. I actually saw this special. It was from England, I believe. But it says mainstream. This article I'm looking at right now, I started to read. It says mainstream media normalizing pedophilia in a reality show calling it age gap love. So it has a story with this guy. He's like 47 or 48 years old, and his neighbor had kids, and the one kid was obviously a young girl, a very young girl that he befriended, and then he went on when she reached the age of 16, dated her, and now he's married to her, and she's got 2 kids. So he's like 40. Yeah, it says he looks a lot older than what they say, because he has like barely any teeth, and the girl has really messed up teeth. So this guy, he's actually, it says 44, started to date this girl way before the age of 16. And the state that he did it in, or the country, because I swear it sounds like he's got a British accent, and so does she. Even like in England, I think they say that it is okay. Yeah, while it's legal, here it is. While the legal age of consent in the UK is 16 years old, the program admits that the affection Andy, that's this guy's name, had towards his child wife bride began well before this age. So they're not telling you how old she was when he started to, basically, obviously have sex with her, but it was way before the age of 16. But they only make this television program, they say that it was like at the age of 16, which was not true. The bottom line is there was like 30-some years difference between her and him. And, they're just trying, this is the problem with the media. They try to justify this stuff. And once again, I'm going to keep on reinstating the name of my story tonight. Act your age and not your shoe size. And don't date somebody the size of your shoe either. So it's just ridiculous. And here's another one just to reinstate the name of my story tonight. My friend had sent this to me. It says, it looks like Coffee County with a K, countyman.net. And this is the title. I'm not making this up. This is the title. I date white girls. It's a black gentleman. I don't even want to use the word gentleman. I date white girls and break their hearts as revenge for slavery. And it says it was, what do you call that? /Mike. There's a story on that. Again, act your age, not your shoe size. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, people are so living like they are victims. Oh, poor me. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that. It's not about me, a.k.a. Matt, that twist to me. Even with that story with the guy having sex with probably at the time, I'm sure she was only probably 12 or 13 years old. It has nothing to justify that, because that's what it ends up turning into. Well, you're trying to justify something you yourself, Walter, want to do. You can continue to believe that. You can believe that nonsense. But if you don't hear that I'm really annoyed by this, then you're really missing the point. And I am referring to you, Matt, because you kind of just turn it into something that it's got to be negative towards me. I'm sorry to do that, dude. And anyway, Yeah, there was another story, by the way. It happened last night, and it's so buried. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it. But, because I have so many stories tonight, but here it is. Wow, I found it. It was on the Norristown Patch. Man fatally shot in Monco Fitness Center parking lot. And this was over King of Prussia. King of Prussia is right around the corner from me. It says a fatal shooting at a fitness center parking lot in the Upper Marion Township is under investigation. It said King of Prussia, though, because it was on the news. The shooting happened just before 10 p.m. Friday night at the LA Fitness at the King of Prussia Town Center, police had said. So, again, I mean, this area has just gotten out of control with these people. We get more and more people. The one person who lives in my development has this black truck, black rims, windows you can't see through because they're completely blacked out. Had 4 police cars on top of him last week. I actually shot a video of it to send to my friend. And I said, yeah, this guy got pulled over at the Acme right up the street from where I live. And lo and behold, he was driving through the development, because he drives through this development morning, noon, and night, the one I live in. And he was actually driving at a considerably slower pace, because I guess he didn't want to get caught again. He had 4 cop cars confiscate his car the other day. Somehow he's out and about again. So just today, on Sunday, of all things, he's back to racing back and forth through our development at very high speeds. And I'm not joking. So it's really annoying, too, when you're trying to sleep and you got this moron who drives through our development at like 100 miles an hour. And I wish I was making this nonsense up. Anyway, couple other stories, because actually it is going very fast tonight because of my pause in the beginning of the show. Another one, North Penn, which is right up the street. That's actually Lansdale. Bicyclist injured after being struck by a car in Lansdale on Wednesday night. The bicyclist was hospitalized on Wednesday evening after being struck by a vehicle near Lansdale Catholic High School in Lansdale Borough. Yeah, I mean, this is like common anymore. People getting hit by cars, kids getting hit by cars, going onto a school bus because, they have those stop signs that go out and people just ignore that. They just ignore it. So, I'm trying to dig through. Yeah, I mean, it's like, grow up. Follow the laws of this country. Don't make your own laws. We are not living where, I hate to say this, but Sharia law is not in the U.S., and it never will be. And just get a grip on it. If you don't like the rules of this country, don't let the door hit you in the proverbial ass. Get the fuck out, because we don't want you here, at least the normal ones of us. Anyway, there was another story. I'm just trying to go through the nitty-gritty ones, and if I run out of time, that'll be the show. I'm going to try to keep it within an hour. Former Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pug sentenced to federal court, and it was apparently for, 3 years in prison for fraud and tax evasion charges. I mean, this is like you hear about this every day. Now, I'm not really sure who she is. Mayor, let me see where she actually, what her whole spiel is. What is her thing? But yeah, she got for tax evasion. It's like, it's a normal thing. I just want to know if because I really don't know. I want to know if she's a Democrat or a Republican. I really want to know this. Yep, she's a Democrat. Wow, I find that shocking. Not really. Okay, that's all I needed to see. That's a thing, another hypocritical thing, whatever. There was another story that this was interesting too. This was on the Washington Times. Border chief, wall cuts illegal crossings by 80%. That's really good. A 20-mile section of new border wall near El Paso, Texas, cuts illegal crossings by more than 80%. The government top border officials told Congress on Thursday. Hey, that's excellent. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to read. Let's see. There was a story that it was about all this nonsense on. Here's an interesting one, real quick. I'm going to slip in. Ambler, that's Pennsylvania again, folks. Woman sentenced for killing grandmother with kitchen knife. After the incident, she walked to the police station and told the officers, what she had done, according to authorities. Well, that was very nice of her to stab her mother to death, to do a Norman Bates, and then go turn herself in. It was very lovely of her. I don't know. Grow up. Here's another story I had. I'm trying to find, these aren't the stories I really wanted to, get put next. But since they are here, I'm going to read them. Police traffic stop leads to drug and weapon charges in Dover. Now, this one, I think the guy did have heavily tinted windows. So, the incident occurred on February 21st of this year, approximately around 8:30 p.m. DuPont Highway in Dover, when a trooper initiated a traffic stop on a gray Dodge Charger for having window tint without a waiver, meaning that it was basically blacked out windows, as I like to put it. Upon contact with the driver, Drew Forrester, an odor of marijuana was detected. And also, an unloaded, there was a .40 caliber handgun, fully loaded 15-round magazine, and tons of other crap in there. So, yeah. Having heavy tint doesn't mean you're trying to conceal anything. Really? That's a bunch of bullshit. No offense. Okay, no, I'll save that to the end. Here's another interesting story. As I try to dig closer and closer where I wanted to get, I wonder if I shut down this story that I wanted to read. I probably did. Florida woman being accused of zipping her boyfriend into a suitcase and leaving him to die. Sarah Boone, 42, was arrested on charges of second-degree murder on Tuesday and death of her boyfriend. It looks like George, but it's with a J, Torres Jr. She's a very hideous-looking woman, too. I'm sorry. So, grow up. Let's see. Why can't I find the stuff that it must have shut down? So I got a lot of... this was around here in Pennsylvania. Story that was says, as coronavirus fears grow, flu deaths skyrocket in Pennsylvania. Come on. No, it hasn't. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. I'm not going to even read that. Police in Dauphin County seek man accused of beating girlfriend's 6-year-old daughter to death. So there's another. Oh, shit. That was a mistake. That popped up. Not me, but that audio. See, that's what I mean. I turned the audio all the way down and something like that happens. And it's too late in the show. It's like 45 minutes into the show. As I am digging for this story, which was really going to be good, it was on the nonsense with the whole racism thing, the race card thing. I think I lost it. I think I might have shut it down. There was a story from the Sun, I guess it's a UK paper, but online. It's titled, I'm going to put the word back in because this is a podcast, so it doesn't really matter. Fucking disgusting. Sicko caught on camera having sex with his best mate's pregnant dog after friend checked home security footage. I mean, come on. Yeah, Raymond McLeod, 19, did not know that the surveillance cameras were in place when he stayed at the home of pal Casper Carlton and was having sex with his pregnant dog. Well, basically his pregnant bitch, because a female dog is called a bitch, by the way. Alrighty, as I'm going through these stories, this one was really funny. Again, I wanted to find this one on this racial thing because I thought it was entertaining, and now I can't find it. This was from VT. Doctors are warning people not to put frozen potatoes in their anus. Now, this is no joke. This was an actual story. Apparently, that putting frozen potatoes, did I say tomatoes? Potatoes, you say tomatoes, I say tomatoes. Frozen potatoes apparently are supposed to help with hemorrhoids. I don't know. This comes to as an increasing number of hemorrhoid sufferers have reportedly taken in the internet to seek alternative solutions to the problem instead of consulting doctors, which is putting frozen fucking potatoes up your ass. I mean, God, grow up. I don't know what else to say. Grow up. I mean, it's hilarious, but it's like, grow up. I mean, you really believe that a frozen potato up your ass is going to help your hemorrhoids? I think it's going to give you more. And by the way, I did find it finally. I found my racism story. PJ Media is the name of the link. You can find much more on my Facebook page if you would just go to iWalter, but then I have my main page. I think it's either called Walter or Lennox. I can't remember anymore because who really follows themselves? I mean, I post things on there, but do I actually follow the name of my page? No, not really. Yeah, it's just titled Walter Interrante, and if you look at it for other things, I have actually two Facebook pages. One was actually closed down for over a year, so I don't use this other one. It's me with Rob Zombie in the picture, but that one I no longer use. The one I do use is the one that's is just Walter Interrante. I think the difference is Walter Paul Interrante and Walter Interrante. And you know what? I just lost that damn story again. I just had it for the racism thing. Oh, here we go. Okay, because I'm actually running out of time anyway. It's by Roger L. Simon. 90% of the racism in America comes from the Democratic Party and the left. Wow, I find it hard to believe. So there's an article on this. You can find it on my page. But 90% of the racism in America today comes from the Democratic Party and the left, once again. So he just said the same thing twice, both in the title and also the first sentence of the paragraph that he wrote. They live off it and exploit it. It is unconscionable to the degree they do this, ruining the lives and future of the very people they say they are helping in the process. And yeah, unconscionable. You know, like conscionable. I can't say that word, and I really just keep on fucking it up. I am uniquely positioned to say this because I spent most of my life on the left and was a civil rights worker in the South in my early 20s. And I was able to my everlasting regret, a donor to the Black Panthers Party in the 70s. So this story is not long, but obviously I am just a incredibly horrible reader of the news. That's why I do not usually do it. So, yeah, you got to read this story. But, yeah, this guy was from the left, and now he is no longer. And, you know, I would strongly recommend everyone looking at it. It's on PJ Media if you want to look it up yourself. Again, it's titled, 90% of the racism in America comes from the Democratic Party and the left. It also does mention Barack Obama's name in there, so just in case you're interested. Story is not that long, but you really don't want me to read it either. either. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Shakira and J-Lo are still getting a lot of complaints about that Super Bowl halftime. I really did not have any problem with it, so I don't know why people are so sorry about that, or so got their panties in a bunch, but it's still getting a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, the source is CNN, and I don't know what these ladies, what side they are on politics, but I sure as hell, if I was them, I would no longer be on the left side, because it's titled from CNN, Shakira and J-Lo over 1,300 complaints about the Super Bowl halftime show. And it states that it was like 4 days ago that this article was posted. So that's not that long ago. That was like the 27th of February or something, 28th, because it's now November 1st. I'm not good with math, obviously. But I just think the whole thing is just entertaining. I mean, when are people, again, grow up? But, besides that, when are people going to learn that this is complete nonsense? Boy, I got so many stories left that I never even got to. California, by the way, there was a story. It says more than 1 in 3 Californian people from California fear becoming homeless. I actually fear becoming homeless because I was making between $70 to $100,000 a year. And now I'm only making 30. So, yes, I'm really scared. I'm very afraid. And this is why I am fighting for my old job of getting the situation handled somehow, because it is really, fearful in my mind. But, yeah, California, it's kind of an easy explanation. Stop voting Democrat. Grow up and stop voting Democrat. Don't vote for your repressors. Vote for the people who are going to take you out of that shithole that you live in. But people don't understand that. There was a story, the reason I put this in there, it says from Classic Rock 96.1. The story is titled, 37 kids from Texas have gone missing this month. And that's really bad, meaning probably, obviously last month. It's a list that keeps on growing. 37 children from the state of Texas have gone missing this month alone, and it's only the 25th. So it was the 25th of February. The number jumps to 72 children missing since the beginning of the year. That's like really, really scary, and it's in Texas. And they have a picture of the kids that they have shown up missing. That's like something's going on there. And, I don't want to say it, but you know where Texas is. It's neighboring our other country, south of the border. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But either way, generally, if kids show up missing, you know what happens to them, because a lot of them are young ladies. It ends up being for sex trafficking, probably most likely. And that's a large number of kids. Either way, if they're, 1 or 2 is scary. What did I say? It was like 37 or some children missing. I'm not trying to use that number as a joke. That is really, really scary. Yeah, I'm trying to speed up these stories too. Because I didn't even get to the one on Linus. But yeah, Linus was basically, and in fact, I think I might have shut it down at this point. Just because I'm running out of time. I'm actually at right now, I'm down to 7 minutes, and I'm going to try to, stick to my guns on my story. Yeah, I've already read that one on ICE. Here's one, because I might have shut it down too quickly. This was from, it just says news. What is it? IndieTimes.com. German gangs are beating up immigrants after Syrian refugees sexually assault Germany's women. Well, it's about fucking time they did something in Germany. But yeah, they finally got to the point, at least in Germany, and it does say Cologne, Days after sexual assault on German women in Cologne City came to light, local gangs are uniting in a manhunt for foreigners. And just this weekend, 2 Pakistanis and a Syrian man were injured in an attack by gangs of people in Cologne, German. German police said on New Year's Eve, Cologne was the scene of dozens of assaults on women. Oh, well. My story just got blocked out by an adware thing. So, assaults on women, it says a number that has grown into hundreds as more and women have come forward to register their complaints. So now this is, the tables have turned. Germany allowed all these refugees into their country, and now the men of Germany are stepping forth, and they are beating the crap out of these refugees who, in their mind, hey, according to Sharia law, we are allowed to rape and pillage women because that is our belief in our laws. Well, guess what? If you go to somebody else's fucking country, your laws don't apply there, dudes, whatever. It's ridiculous, but maybe they will learn this in the very hard way, because in Germany, there are German gangs now beating the crap out of these morons. So, great. I'm glad to hear that, guys. German guys, German dudes. Anyway, I'm getting towards the tail end. Anyway, the thing what I was looking for on... by the way, it was kind of funny. Trying to lighten the mood in the last 4 minutes. There's something called... It's a portable toilet that can be attached to your hitch of your car or your SUV or truck. So if you have to take a dump, it's like a thing. It's called the bumper dumper. The bumper dumper is a hitch-mountable portable toilet for your car. I could certainly use one of those. I could have used one last night because I had like such... I think I had... I told my friend Matt and Todd that I had an issue. I think I had food poisoning, and trust me, it was not fun. So, and I'm trying to keep this. Okay, yeah, there was a story. You can see it on YouTube. I kind of recommend it. I can't afford to give him any money, but I didn't realize this either. But this guy, Linus, it's called Linus Tech Tip. He was actually talking about that Apple now put out a rack mount server, and the equipment is like, way overpriced and gives you very little. Like a rack mount machine is like, generally, you buy what's called a rack mount. And I'm going to try to make this really quick. A rack mount is a big metal, like cage almost, for where you put your, like they're like glorified computers in there. So, but the rack mounts are just as heavy, and usually rack mounts are the machines you put onto the rack mounts. Generally aren't that heavy. They're because they go in like little trays on this big metal cage that you just slide the computer or this trade kind of computer. It's meant for like server systems and stuff. It is a server system. It's a trade computer. It's not anything fancy. But Apple made a things you can put into your rack mount, but it's a glorified new Mac Pro at an extremely high price. And apparently, according to, because I can't find it now, according to Linus, it's just not worth it. It's like way overpriced, and it's like underwhelming for what you get. It's very underwhelming. It's impossible to work with, and it's god-awful expensive. So, yeah, Linus was talking about this. So, and it's like not like your typical machine that will go into a normal rack mount. Like, because when I worked at my other job, we had a lot of rack mount systems. My friend Rich got one given to him, and they're usually not the trays are very small that go into this rack mount cage. Well, this machine is like basically a glorified new Mac Pro, and it's ridiculously, it's really big. It's not meant for a regular rack mount. The price is just is way overpriced, and then plus performance is very underwhelming. Not overwhelming, but underwhelming. So it's just like it's just a piece of garbage, basically. Is what I'm hearing. So, anyway, it is like an hour time, and most of it, the first 10 minutes, was wasted for me trying to find the Roger Corman movie. So I do apologize about that. I will leave you go. I am picking one of my songs from Matt, and Matt, it's your song 182 that I will be playing at the end of the show tonight. But in addition to this, there was a story that I just wanted to throw in here as a last hurrah for tonight. And I don't know if this is going to be the one that's actually going to take place now, but if you were a person who watched the TV series on HBO of Game of Thrones, it seems like they did put some other show on to replace it, that, some type of serial that did good, but it didn't do as good as Game of Thrones did. And it was that I heard it was actually pretty decent if you actually followed it. But there was another show they put on, which was it was a sequel to now I forget. But anyway, because it's going to run over now. They said Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon gets a green light. So I was really happy about that. It was an article. It seems like, because there was a couple different things that they were going to have. They were going to have a couple prequels, but it seems like not many of them had taken off, so they're going to go with one called House of the Dragon. Anyway, it says, what is it about? Based on George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood, the series will tell the story of the House of Targaryen and take place 300 years before the event of Game of Thrones. So that I'm looking forward to. Watchmen, by the way. Watchmen, Westworld. Those were things that Westworld actually is doing really good. I didn't realize. I guess that's an HBO show. But Watchmen, I heard, was actually really good. It just never really had taken off. Because the people who did check out Watchmen, the TV series on HBO, really liked it. Like, it starts out not that good. And it takes place after, the comic books, the graphic novels, and the movie was where the Watchmen, the TV series, takes place. But that never had taken off, and obviously Game of Thrones was on for 8 solid years. Even though the last season was pretty bad, it still was on for 8 solid years. And, everybody was kind of looking forward to some type of sequel. So that's going to be House of the Dragons, by the way, for those who don't know. And if you haven't watched it, you probably won't even care. I had a couple other stories I was going to mention. I'm just going to cut those short because I'm going to keep it's already 3 minutes after. So I'm actually making up for some lost time of me hemming and hawing. So once again, I'm going to play from Matt Tarrance, his piece. I just picked something out of the hat, proverbial hat, and I picked your song 182, which I will be playing right now. Everyone, have a good week, a good night. This is Walter from iWalter, and I am signing off for now.